Hey, welcome to Dow Stock Talk, where I talk about topics relating to investing and finance, but more specifically the stock market. Now in this video, I'll be going over the MACD. Okay, so here's the structure of this video. The first part I'll be going over what is the MACD. The second part I'll be going over how you can use the MACD indicator to buy and sell. And the third one I'll be going over a practical example. But before we get started, you know what, make sure you smash the like button because it helps the YouTube algorithm. It helps YouTube know that this is quality content and help my videos reach a broader audience. And also, if you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe button and you have that notification bell turned on so you know when I'm making new videos. Now, my normal schedule is I normally post once a week, either Wednesdays or Thursdays, but sometime between the time period of 12 and 3. Alright, so this is MACD. MACD stands for Moving Average Convergent Divergent. Don't worry, once you end up watching this video, you'll know what it is, you'll know how to use it to buy and sell, and I'll use an actual practical example later on. And once again, I provided timestamps. Alright, so we have the MACD. Now this may look like a lot going on, but they're kind of like explaining everything. I will go over it, all of this, of exactly what the MACD is, like for educational purposes, but just know you don't need to know all this, and later on part of the video I'll just show you what you need to exactly know to buy and sell, and then I'll use a practical example. Once again, I have the timestamps below. If you're not sure what moving average or exponential average, make sure you check the suggested videos. But the MACD, so they got this blue line when they take the 12-day exponential moving average minus the 26 exponential moving average. That's just, I'm just letting you know, that's just how they came up with this, the MACD line. The red line is the signal line, or the 9-day exponential moving average. So the signal line, whenever the MACD crosses this signal line, it's going to give you an indication whether to buy and sell. So we went over the MACD, went over the signal line, which is in the red. Now let's go over the histogram. So the histogram, as you can see, these bars. So what do these bars tell you? The bars tell you the distance between the MACD and the signal line. So as you can see, the bigger the bar, or the longer the bars is, the greater the space. And as you can see, as the bars get smaller and smaller, the lines get closer together. Now, when they actually cross, because there's no distance, it's on what they call the zero line. Now, the last thing I wanted to cover before I go to the next slide is you'll see some is above and some is below. Now this is something where you want to pay attention to. So determine whether it's up or below, we got to look at the MACD. So it's really this simple. So if the MACD is above the signal line, histogram's going to be up. If the MACD is below the signal line, it's going to be below. That's simple. Let's just keep it simple. I just like to keep things simple. So when they say converge, that means that the lines are coming closer together. When diverge, that means the lines are coming apart, and the histogram can end up giving you an indication whether it's convergent, divergent. And that's how they got moving average, convergent, divergent. All right. Now, so when you look at the chart, the MACD indicator is going to come at the bottom, right? So then we're going to have the three components, like I said, the MACD line, the signal line, and the histogram. That's the three main components right there. All right, so this one, I think this is what everybody cares about. How do you know when you're using the MACD indicator whether you want to buy or sell? Well, in my other previous videos, I talked about the death cross and the golden cross. It's pretty much the same concept here. Okay, so if we look at it, when the MACD, right, this is the MACD's in the blue, the signal line is the red line. So when the MACD crosses above the signal line, that's the indication to buy. Boom. When the MACD drops below the signal line, right, sell. When the MACD crosses back above the signal line, buy. So this is pretty much one of the most common ways that people end up using MACD. Now, if you wanted to kind of look at it a little bit closer, you can pay attention to the histogram. So that you know with the histogram, remember I told you, the longer the bars is, the greater the space is between these two lines, right? So this is just from personal experience right here. So right here, we've seen the buy, right? And we see that these lines, they're getting bigger and bigger. But right here, even though before that actual crossing when it says sell, we've seen the histogram lines getting smaller and smaller and smaller, which letting you know that the MACD is getting close to that signal line. So that definitely gives you an indication, hey, you know, it's about to cross. So you can even take profit before that. But that's just an way that you could possibly use the MACD. And by the way, I just wanted to also mention, whenever the MACD and the signal line crosses the zero line, that's a bullish case. And whenever the MACD and the signal line drops below, that's a bearish case. All right, so now let's go into the practical example. Okay, so this is Pinterest. We're looking at the 5-day, 1-day integral. Once again, Pinterest, 5-day, 1-day integral. The MACD, by the way, the MACD I already have it set up, is at the bottom, right? So we got that squared away. And by the way, if you didn't know how to go to it, you just go to indicators, commonly used MACD. Okay, all right. So where's buy points? Where's sell points? Okay, remember when oh, by the way, the MACD's the purple, the signal. Let me just look this up. The MACD is the purple, the signal is the gold. So remember when we end up saying when the MACD crosses, right, crosses this particular area, the signal line, this would have been a buy indication, right? But then when the MACD end up crossing below this signal right here, this will give us a signal to sell. This right here, when the MACD goes above, you know, remember above the signal line, this would be a good indication to buy. Then once we see up here, the MACD goes below the signal line, that would be to sell. And I just wanted to also let you know, the farther it is from this zero line right here, the farther it is, the stronger the signal. So in situations like this, you see like it didn't create a lot of separation. So when it doesn't create a lot of separation, and it's what I can still consider still close to zero, it's what you can kind of consider a choppy market. So you trying to use this method may not be that effective, but it's really effective when you see that large gap away from the zero line, because it definitely gives you a good indication, and it normally shows that it's a strong upward trend. Yeah, so as we can see, this is PayPal. So this is PayPal on the 1-day integral. So we're looking at the MACD. The MACD's at the bottom. The blue is the MACD. The yellow is the signal. So as we can know, where do they cross? So let's see. There's a cross here. There's a cross here. There's a cross here. So there's several crosses. And like, remember what I say, I like it to be farther apart from the zero and large space, because those are the strongest signal. The closer they are and the farther apart, it's not that clear of a signal, so it could be like considered like a choppy market. So to give clear signals, it'd be that large gap far away from the zero. So right here, this would be a good buying opportunity right here. Let's actually zoom in a little closer so you can see it a little better. So right here would have been a good buying opportunity, right? Now right here would have been a good opportunity to sell. Sell sign right here. This is a very clear buy signal right here. And by the way, in this video, since this is for beginners, this is simply looking at the MACD. So this is assuming that you know no other technical indicators, no other patterns. We're just simply looking at buying and selling, just using the MACD indicator. So, alright. Also, I would like to mention, make sure you pay attention to the histogram. So remember, let's look at this particular case. As the histogram lines get bigger, right, as they get bigger, that shows that the distance between the two is also going farther apart, right? So they're going farther apart, like right here you can see it goes down a little bit. The bars are getting smaller and smaller, which means that the lines are getting closer and closer together. So since we know it was a buy right there, whenever we know when these lines, when this starts to get closer and closer and closer, you know that means that line's about to cross. And because it is going, when it crosses, it's going to go below because it already went above. It was already over top. So now, once we see this getting, these histograms, the bars getting lower and lower and lower, that means they're about to cross. So we could even if you wanted to, you could either take profit before the cross. Now, once the cross, that would be the sell signal based off of the MACD, just looking at the cross points. And that was pretty much it. That was your crash course. Make sure you let me know, what do you think about the MACD? And in my next video, I'll be going over other technical indicators that you can use to buy and sell stocks. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe to my channel.